We've got etiquette tips to help you navigate through any social situation. Joining me now is certified etiquette consultant, Johnny Fox from Magnolia School of Etiquette and Protocol. Welcome to Primetime. Boy, do we need you here. Okay, tell us what you have. First of all, tell us about your business and then tell us about what you have set up here.
Sure. The Magnolia School of Etiquette and Protocol teaches social and business and fine dining etiquette, and we teach it to children ages 6 to 12 as well as adults 21 plus. Also do some teen seminars once or twice during the year, but primarily it's the children's classes we teach. And then adults, we do private and group sessions, so anywhere from brides. I've had military officers, businessmen and businesswomen who want skills for business dining and such. So.
It's very, 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 very important. I think that parents need to hire you to teach their kids, because whatever, you can pound that into your child every day, but it seems like when I sent my one daughter to etiquette school, it never left her. And I'm like, why did you listen to somebody else and not me? But it's just like teaching them how to ski or anything else. But there is different etiquette for different dining situations. So let's start with what you have set up here.
Well, this is a very formal setting for a 6-course dinner. So very, very fine dining sort of thing. We have our place card, and we have an appetizer, we have a soup, we have a fish course, we have a main course, and we have a salad course, which continental European style dining would typically come after these come. And then your dessert course up here, so that you have a dessert spoon and a dessert fork. That would indicate that you have possibly a liquid and solid dessert coming. Yep, so you slide those down and you use both of those to eat the dessert. Yep. And then this is not a course, but this is your bread and butter plate, which is always on the left. Maybe when your daughter took the class, they learned that little B&D rule where
you're going to tell us all this. First of all, going here, because let me tell you, a lot of people don't know proper etiquette. I would say the masses don't know. You're working your way in, are you not?
Yes, you're working from the outside.
Tell us about that. So if somebody came to sit down at this table and they didn't know proper etiquette, they're looking at all these knives and forks and they're like, oh, where do I begin? Believe me, it's been me. I've been that person, like pretty woman.
Or which
where you're watching people, what they're doing and trying to pick up on their cues.
That's a good cue. Always watch the host and try to learn from the host, and hopefully they won't make mistakes.
Hopefully you're sitting close to her or him.
But so the easiest tip is that, yes, you work from the outside in, and you can see by looking at this place setting, you can read it, and you can see if you start from the outside in that your first course is an appetizer. That's an appetizer fork, and that you are going to have a soup because there's a soup spoon. That would be your second course, and they would remove that. And this is a matching fish knife and fish fork. So for every knife we have, every knife and fork is married.
I've never heard of this. What makes that a fish fork?
Well, this one usually has tiny little points on the ends like this, just like the fish knife has a little bit of a point on it. And that helps to pick the bone out, lift the bone out, and to peel skin away from the fish. So you'd have every knife being married to a fork. You'd have your fish knife and fish fork, and you'd have that course next. Then you'd have your main, might be a small beef course. Then they would take that away, and then you would have your salad, which is typically a palate cleanser in European countries, and then that would take that away, and then you'd have your dessert course. And of course, if you were in France, you wouldn't have a bread and butter plate because bread goes directly on the table in France, but here we use a bread and butter plate.
Now let's talk about all these glasses here, because there's a lot of glasses. So I know this is red wine. How do I know that? I wonder why I know that.
I know that too.
Okay, water. Water to me could go there or there?
Actually, these should be lined up as so. I was a little limited space, but let's make it look like it should look. The water glass should be at the tip of your dinner knife or inside knife. So that would be your water glass.
And then on the right side.
Right, so if you're
setting the table, you want it on the right side.
If we're facing that place setting, we would be doing that B&D.
Tell us about B&D.
So butter. We have to be backwards, but so yes. So the B is for bread plate.
Okay.
And the D is for drinks.
Okay.
So you always know your bread is on.
That's a great tip.
So you always know your bread is on the left and your drinks are on the right. You can do that under the table. You're sitting at that big round table at the wedding where everything's all together.
Yeah. And you're wondering, is that his plate or my plate?
And then everybody messes it up. If somebody grabs their glass with their left hand, they've now drink the person who came to sit down while he was out dancing, and then he comes and sits down and picks up the glass with his right hand and drinks out of the same glass. So good to know the rule. But yeah, so they kind of cascade down. So a water glass, and then typically how your food is being served.
So the white
your
wine
white
with the
wine
fish.
with your fish, your red wine with your meat, your champagne maybe as an after course, and then
dessert.
And then you might have a little port or after dinner cordial there. Salt and pepper are always passed together. They're also married around the table. So that's how you would navigate your setting, knowing these are all on the right.
Talk about the place setting that you made, and you put it right
yes,
there.
I made you a little place card.
Yes,
it could go here if I had a less than formal napkin arrangement today. If it was just a nice square with the little ribbon or something, and it's less ornate, then you could set it right on there. It could be laying flat like this. It could be tucked into a ribbon. It can be all kinds of ways, because you might have a menu card up here. But if you don't have a menu card, then typically you'll put the place card above the dessert setting as well. And then you just embellish your table as best you can with nice, pretty things to tie it all in. And so we do I teach continental style dining, European style dining, how we eat around the rest of the world.
I know, and you're going to come back and talk about that, right?
Yes.
So, but first of all, how many times, wait a minute, have you gone on a date, and I'm just going to pretend this is a plate.
Okay.
And the guy that you're, hold this for me.
Okay.
And your date goes like this. Oh, well, he doesn't even have it. Use it. Or like this.
Yeah, so you don't date him again, pretty much.
Using the fingers.
Yeah, I'm done with
My kids try to do that.
I'm done
put
with
those
him.
fingers down, right? Okay. Or
no, we're done with him.
let's show the different ways to eat and how to use your silverware.
Okay, so for continental,
your fingers are not silverware unless you're in Japan or
or
Japan
a lot
of
of be
different
using
countries.
chopsticks. In India, you're using your hand, your right hand.
India, you're right.
Use your right hand in India. So continental style, we're in the cutting position, and you cut and you bring the food to your mouth as such off the back of the fork with the tines down. And then we have certain resting positions for the utensils. Continental is resting like this in an upside down V.
Okay.
And closed position is this way when you are finished eating. It can even be this way.
Yeah.
All right, but when we eat American, or what they call zigzag or switch, we cut the same way, but then we set our knife down, and then we switch hands, and then we pierce, and then we eat, and then we switch, and then we pick up, and then we do
But
this.
that gives time for the food to get in the stomach and your stomach to tell your brain when you're full.
And that's fine if you're raised to eat American style and you prefer to have all of that crisscrossing during dinner. It's a little distracting.
Because sometimes it's hard to get everything here.
Well,
sometimes it's easier to do this, right?
Well,
is that bad?
Well, you shouldn't be pushing your food on with the knife that way. But your knife is always in your right hand as well. But
well,
no,
I just got back from France and I messed that up. Where were you? You should have came on here a month ago.
I wish I was in France with you.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Me too.
But yeah, so it's more sophisticated eating European style. It takes less of that distraction at the table of clinking things.
Yeah.
But if you are going to eat American style, you want to make sure you set your knife at the back of the plate with the blade facing the center of the plate before you switch, and then you eat and you switch, and you do this all the time. And then when you're resting, you would just place your fork down here, and when you're finished, you just bring it up and bring your knife down. But what you see a lot of people do, and that were American raised eating, is when they're not eating, they put their stuff like this, hanging them off the edge of the plate, and this is terribly inappropriate. So we don't want to do that.
It's etiquette faux pas.
I
really wish I would have met you a long time ago. But I am going to hire you to come teach my daughters proper etiquette as well.
Good, would love to. So yeah, we do have classes for, I go into other people's homes. They come to me. I'm up in the northernmost part of San Diego, but they can come to me. My website has classes that are ongoing. And then my adult classes, I right now have going on are these upcoming business lunch etiquettes. And so I have one tomorrow at Francesca's in Temecula, and I have one Monday at Popazzo's in Little Italy, and I have one at Millflor in Rancho Santa Fe coming up, and I have one at Ventana's in Escondido, and one at Soro's Mediterranean. So they're all different. French food, Greek food, Italian food, they're all different. So you can learn a little bit about the culture while you're learning how to dine properly for business.
Well, I'm hoping next week you'll come back and talk
Oh, I'd
about
love
the
to.
different way we would dine around the world
Oh, I'd love
when
to.
you're in Rome.
Yes, that's what
Literally.
I say. When in Rome.
When
yes.
in Rome. So, what about, before we go to break, what about the glass etiquette? We talked about the silverware.
Right.
What about the glass etiquette? You see all different things, right?
Right. Well, stemware is called stemware for a reason. It has a stem, so it should be held by the stem. This being a water glass, even though it typically has a stem, this is kind of an all-purpose wine glass that I brought. So water glasses probably wouldn't. They'd have a little bit shorter, fatter stem. So you hold them by the bowl.
Okay.
But stemware is always held by
Even red wine, because I've seen people
Always
hold
by
red
the
wine
stem.
like this sometimes.
Yes, and I've seen them hold it like this, which is even worse.
I see that a lot.
It's awful. So in a time past, they used
Good thing
to.
she hasn't been following me around.
It's killing me just to have this sitting here the wrong way.
Okay.
But if you have, there was a time when they would say, "Oh, this warms and keeps it this way and that," but they don't do that anymore because all the corking and
that
all
warming.
of that
Okay.
stuff and the way they do
That's
things
what I
are
was gonna-
different. So you don't want to change the temperature of any of the wines you're served. So you hold it by the stem.
Do you ever pass a certain food first, and which way do you pass it?
You pass food to the right.
Okay.
And-
Right is right.
Or counterclockwise. Right is right. No, there's no particular. If the bread basket's in front of you and you're starting the bread service, typically you will offer the person to your left the bread, and the person to your right, and then you can take your bread and have it go around the table after that.
But no throwing it. No, okay. Last question for you. When is it appropriate to wear a bib? When you're a baby.
When you're on a date
when you're
with
old
that
and
guy.
you have no teeth. Right.
When you're on a date with that guy that's eating like that.
I know, that uses his fork like a backhoe. Believe me, I had that experience.
He stabs the tomato and it squirts all over you.
Oh my God.
So no, well, it's really never appropriate to wear a bib out, except if you're at a fun picnic during the day for fun things.
If you're eating crab, and they.
I know, if you go to those places that are famous for that and they want to give you the big plastic bib because you're getting a big old tub of food, and a big old tub of things.
If you're eating a whole rack of barbecue ribs.
Family style place like that's a big fun bucket of stuff and you're into it with the big family. But if you were to say go to, I can't mention restaurant names, a very fine dining restaurant place and you're getting lobster.
But you see some men, they'll put the napkin there. You'll see it.
And
I've seen it.
not at a higher end restaurant where you're getting lobster.
One last thing, show us how to chew, because you see different ways of chewing.
Well, with your mouth closed.
Right?
And not big, large, just like I tell ladies, don't chew gum. That's what they make Altoids for.
Oh my gosh, I know this beautiful, beautiful, stunning girl, probably the most beautiful girl I've ever met, and she has gum in her mouth all the time. And when she chews, you see the gum. And I finally couldn't take it anymore. I finally said, please stop. You're taking away the beauty.
I know. I've seen the same thing before. I've seen beautiful ladies, and I want to walk up to them and say, you look so beautiful, except for that chewing like a cow chewing cud thing you're doing.
Yeah.
So same thing when you're eating. You want to be discreet when you're eating. Keep your mouth, closed and eat small bites and consumable bites. Just like bread and butter we teach. You break one bite-sized piece at a time when you eat bread.
We should have videotaped me, because there's times I take, I can't eat salad neatly. For whatever reason, I end up, putting a piece of lettuce that's too big in my mouth. Or it's in my teeth.
That's why you have a salad knife.
I know.
With your salad
fork.
fork.
You're going to be my new best friend. Okay. We'll see you next week. We're going to teach everybody, because we want you to travel around the world, and we don't want you looking stupid when you eat your meals. So, will we see you next week?
I love it.
All right.
Love to come back.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.